Hey everyone, welcome back to Room 237, and I've got another movie review. This is not a horror movie, but it is the kind of film that I've touched upon a couple times on this channel and would like to do more of for sure. It's a true crime drama film, not of a notorious serial killer, but a specific case. And kind of a cult classic film that I've never seen until just now. I've known about the film. I've always known about the story. But, excuse me. But yes, this is, so not a horror movie, but definitely something that kind of genre or film that I have been trying to do more of, and will try to do more of. But it is the 2001 film directed by Larry Clark that is called Bully. Now, Bully is based on the true story of the 1993 murder of Bobby Kent, committed by a number of his close friends and some of their friends down in Florida. And I always knew about the story because when I was a young kid, in the very, very early 2000s, probably around the time this came out, my brother and I would normally go to my grandparents' house before and after school, then get picked up by our parents when they got out of work. But on Wednesdays, my mom had off, so we would just get off the bus at home and stay there. And she would always watch American Justice and Forensic Files. And of all the times she watched it, this story stuck out to me the most and always stayed in my head. And sometime recently I saw that Bully was on Hulu, and I realized that's what it was based on, and that it was directed by Larry Clark, who also directed Kids. I may review this at some point, just as maybe one of my favorite movies, or maybe just controversial films that aren't really crime or horror, but just, sort of the random sort of the films I'll talk about. And like Kids, it is very gritty, it is very raw, realistic, and I think it's the perfect kind of director for this kind of movie, because a lot of times when you get true crime films, especially ones that involve a murder case or even like a big name serial killer, you get the Hollywood touch to it, and they just Hollywood eyes the hell out of them, and they end up having to dramatize a lot. They end up having to take a lot of creative liberties. This one doesn't do that. Of course, it's an indie film, and Larry Clark, just being the kind of filmmaker he is, he's able to really just give you the story. It's not sugar-coated. It's not made to feel any kind of, I don't know if redemption's the right word, but doesn't feel like the conventional, Hollywood. It gives you what you want. It's like, you really want to see this? Well, here it is. It has a really great cast. I was actually surprised by, a lot of the characters I would see, and I'd be like, I know that person from this movie. Of course, it stars Brad Renfro as Marty Puccio, the best friend of Bobby Kent. Of course, Brad Renfro passed away 2008 of drug overdose. Child actor, known for The Client, Sleepers, Apt Pupil, family films like Tom and Huck. Bobby Kent is played by Nick Stahl, who I've always known as that yellow bastard from Sin City, but also Bayou Phillips, who we'd see in Hostel 2, Rachel Miner, Michael Pitt, who is the first actor to play Mason Verger on the TV version of Hannibal. He was also the Kurt Cobain character of Gus Van Sant's Last Days, which I still have not yet seen, but I've always wanted to. Leo Fitzpatrick makes an appearance, who is Telly in Kids. And I always forget the actor's name, but Daniel Franzisi, who I know a lot of people know as him as one of the guys in Mean Girls. I know him as one of the rapists from the Spit on Your Grave remake, Stanley, the one with the camera. And then Kelly Garner as another one of the friends. So that's our main cast. Great cast. That's definitely one of the biggest things about this movie is it's definitely a performance film. Every actor really brings their A game. I'm pausing a lot because I'm still kind of processing this movie. It's definitely the sort of a showcase movie because I think a lot of these actors, if they weren't established in the indie film circuit, this was their first film, and you know they all went on to do bigger things, and I was impressed by every actor. The performances is definitely the strongest aspect of the film. Also, its loyalty to the original story. There are some things that aren't really touched upon, which I'll get into. But also, I love the cinematography. There's some very well orchestrated scenes with, whether it be the music or the camera work, which the music was done by Joe Polidorus and Jerome Dillon. And there's not a whole lot to get into plot-wise because throughout most of the film it really is just these teenagers' lives and then how they plot to murder, the murder itself, and then sort of the aftermath. It's just under 2 hours, so it does take its time. The only complaint I would say that really kind of drags the film down would be the amount of sex scenes that's in this. Unless a sex scene is used very stylistically or really furthers the plot along, I find sex scenes to be kind of frivolous or gratuitous, which I know in slasher films and stuff like that, that's the point. They're supposed to be gratuitous. But we see that Marty and Bobby, they're lifelong best friends, except Bobby has always been physically, emotionally, and mentally abusive towards Marty. Been best friends since 3rd grade, live on the same street. Bobby Kent has been described as like a Eddie Haskell type person. Like he's able to put this charming face on for parents, but you know, with kids, he's very devious and sinister. And it's a number of different things. I mean, even in real life and in the film, Marty would go home and he would be bloody or covered in bruises. So the parents knew Bobby wasn't that good of a friend. Bobby's parents did not like Marty because he was a high school dropout. He surfed, and you know his dad really had, you know, wanted Bobby to go into, you know, he had big plans for his future, and so we thought Marty was going to drag him down. And throughout a lot of the film, we just kind of see how abusive Bobby can be. In the very beginning, they meet these two girls, Lisa and Allie. Allie, who's played by Bayou Phillips. Lisa, who's played by Rachel Miner, I believe. Yeah. Lisa starts dating Marty. Allie, or Bobby, just gets what he needs sexually from Allie. But also we see Marty and Bobby, they work together, they work out together. The film doesn't really go into it, but in real life, there was a belief that they were using steroids, and some believe that's why Bobby Kent has such the erratic, bad temper, abusive temper that he had. Which, if you look at pictures of Bobby Kent, he is like a big, stocky guy. Nick Stahl is more skinny. But I thought Nick Stahl did great in the film. The film does touch upon how they try to make several gay porn films, not with them, but filming other people, like very amateur films, so they could try to sell them and get money. That never went anywhere. In fact, there was one scene where they're at this nightclub. It's like amateur teen night, or any guy teen could get up on stage, strip, and dance. These guys are looking at Marty. They really want him to dance, so Bobby forces him to do it, just so he can berate him afterwards. It's as much as that aspect the movie really goes into, but in real life, they do believe that Bobby may have forced Marty to pretty much be a sex worker for older men, because there was like sort of hot spots and red light districts for male sex workers in that area at that time of South Florida. But the film doesn't really go into that or the steroids that much. It really is just sort of the physical abuse. Like, there's a scene where they're driving. Actually, they're driving away from, or it's the scene after the dancing. Bobby's berating Marty, like, I knew you like guys. You're a... And he just starts punching him and hitting him, and then Marty kind of swerves and hits a curb. It's Bobby's car, and he gets mad. He just starts punching him in the face while he's driving. And then another scene is Marty and Lisa are having sex. Then Bobby comes in, sort of hits Bobby to get out of the way, says he's next, and he rapes Lisa. And in the film, it really is Lisa that is sort of the ringleader. She's the one that comes up with the idea to kill Bobby. And then the next portion of the film is them sort of rounding up all their different friends, which also she gets pregnant. Lisa gets pregnant. The movie does kind of make it seem like she may possibly not know if it's Marty or Bobby's. And then at one point, like to get her friend Allie on board, she hooks Bobby and Allie up again, which he sort of beats and rapes Allie as well. So then she sort of gets Allie on board, and then they get their friends involved. So we see them get, like Lisa gets her cousin Derek, played by Franzisi. And then Kelly Gardner and Michael Pitt are these just really sort of burnt out teens who are always just smoking weed and dropping acid. They get them on board, and eventually they realize that they need more help, so they want to hire this hitman who's played by Leo Fitzpatrick, which I thought Leo Fitzpatrick did great in this movie. Which I thought he did great in Kids as well, but you can definitely tell he grew as an actor. By the time he came to this, he says he's a mafia hitman, which I think we find out later that he's not. Spoiler alert, but it's a true crime movie, so if you're familiar with the story, you probably know the outcome anyway. I think I was in like 3rd grade when I heard this story, so it might have even been 2000 when I saw it on TV. We do see sort of the first failed attempt, which is luring Bobby away out in like a rural area. So he and Allie can have sex, but Lisa tags along. She has her mom's gun, but she chickens out. And then the next big portion of the film is them sort of getting everyone on board. The cousin Derek, Donnie, Heather, Allie, Marty, and Lisa. Then eventually the hitman, also named Derek. And one of my favorite scenes with how it's filmed is when they first meet Hitman Derek. Because we have cousin Derek, Donnie, and Heather, who have dropped acid. They're high. Everyone else has got anxiety. They're all on Hitman Derek's front lawn, standing around. And he's telling them all, get more weapons, get some sort of plan together, then come back to me. And the camera is just not really panning and stopping, but just spinning around, like, to everyone. And it'll kind of go slow, then it'll go faster on other characters. And it does create some anxiety. Like, some people might say it's kind of annoying because the camera's spinning. I loved how that scene played out. Again, I'm going to keep using the words tense and anxious, because the way some scenes are played out is very much that. So then eventually they devise this plan where they have Allie's car, and then they have, I think it's the car that Marty's driving. They go to pick up Bobby, and he's like, oh, my car's full of these guys, which is like Donnie, Heather, and I think Derek. Or it's didn't Derek the hitman, they're all in two separate cars, and he tells them, oh, well, they want to go race with this one guy we just met, Derek. So Bobby kind of goes along with it. They're all friends of Allie's, but she still wants to have sex with you, and we just got to go out to this, we just got to go down by the canal. My favorite scene of the movie is the actual murder of Bobby Kent, which actually is not even the murder, it's the final build-up before, because, and I mean, Bobby is just an incredible asshole to everyone. In his car, it's him, Allie, Donnie, and Heather, and he's just being awful to everyone. And this is the first night Donnie and Heather and Hitman Derek actually meet Bobby, which is how it was in real life. And they hated him on contact. They hated him the second they met him. So they get down by the canal, and Bobby takes Allie, kind of away. And so then the rest of the characters are sort of standing in a circle, and Hitman Derek is trying to tell them, like, what the plan is going to be. He tells Heather, like, go down by them to the canal, give the signal, ask, like, are there any alligators in there? When we hear that, you, Donnie, jump out and stab him. And then you, Marty, you back him up from down there. We'll back you up from up here so that he can't get away. And then it's everyone gets in position, and then it's the actual murder itself. But the second they all park and get out of the car, the music starts with, like, just kind of almost, I think, like 28 Days Later theme music, just kind of very soft, sort of strumming of like high guitar strings, very softly. But then as it goes on, it gets like faster and heavier, and then eventually louder and heavier notes and faster strumming, and it just keeps building up. Perfect pacing, the pacing of the music and the building up. Perfect for just anxiety, and you can see the look on every actor's face of I'm not ready for this. Holy hell, is this actually happening? And then all the way up, Heather goes out there and asks if there's any alligators, but of course she fucks it up. And just as she's about to blow it, that's when Donnie comes in, stabs him in the back of the neck with the knife, which is how the murder really happened. Then he turns to Marty for help, and Marty stabs him in the stomach. And the movie plays it out like supposedly what happened in real life was it didn't make him fight back or get angry. He starts pleading for his life, pleading to his best friend for help. I feel like if this was a Hollywood movie, they would have tried to make it seem like Bobby would have had a chance. Like he would have tried to fight back, maybe give a couple of the killers a few hits just to kind of even it out, I guess. But where this is just an indie film, not just an indie film, but where this is an indie film from just a gritty, realistic filmmaker, you get it as is, and you see like a little bit of viscera from his stomach. We see Marty slit his throat, which I think in real life he slit it twice. But I mean, we see everything, and it's not overdone and showy like a slasher film. It takes itself very seriously. And then the final blow is with Hitman Derek with the bat, bashing him in the head. They throw him down into the canal so that the gators can eat him, which of course did not happen. He was picked away at by sand crabs. And then for the rest of the film, it's the disintegration of the group of friends and sort of their own downfall. But I actually watched that build-up scene twice when Hitman Derek is going over the plan, and just that the strumming of the guitar gets louder and faster, heavier. And you can just sort of see the anxiety on everyone's face. They all meet up at the beach to go over an alibi. And we pretty much see that Allie, Lisa, and cousin Derek all talked to somebody else, either for help, advice, or even for someone to provide an alibi. And then it all fell apart. In real life, Lisa confessed to her mother, who I think cousin Derek confessed to his mother as well. And then Derek went to the authorities and led them to Bobby's body. But here it sort of seems like all the friends kind of had some sort of involvement with their own downfall, especially with the character of Allie making the anonymous call so she can say she at least reported it. The only one we see get arrested is Marty, which when the sheriff's department gets to his house, they like grab his younger brother by the shoulder and they're like, take us to Marty. And he's wearing a Dare shirt. He watches his brother get arrested while he's wearing a Dare shirt. And then we see them arguing and showing no remorse while they're in the courthouse. And then at the end, we all see their sentences, which some of them were already out of prison by the time this movie came out. Like, I think cousin Derek, Heather, and I think Allie were all released by the time this came out. If Allie wasn't, she came out sometime in the mid-2000s. But the rest are all serving life sentences. In fact, by the time this came out, Marty was still sentenced to death. He did have an appeal that got the death sentence taken away, but he's still serving life. Eligible for parole after 25 years. And then that's where it ends. I don't think this movie really did anything for bully awareness when it first came out. Which if it didn't, then that's a shame. But also, one of Bobby Kent's sister, around the time this came out, because some of the killers were already out of prison, said how they're all vicious killers. They don't even deserve to be alive, and here they are out of prison. And even though Allie was released, she's still on probation, I think, at this time. It's a very interesting story. It does. I think this can work as a cautionary tale as well, not just a very interesting true crime murder story that's done well on film, but a cautionary tale for what kids who are bullied can go through and what, like, sort of the only option they feel like sometimes. There are several scenes with Marty and Lisa where he breaks down and says, "There's nothing I can do. My parents don't give a shit. His parents don't even like me. I can't stand up to him. He abuses me all the time." And it does sort of create... The film does at times have this claustrophobic feel of nowhere else to turn. I can't do anything. My only way out is to kill this guy. And I think it's very well done. Very well acted. I'll have to say the performances is the strongest point of the film. Even if you're not familiar with the story or don't even really care about the true story, it's worth checking out just for the performances. The music is well done, especially during that scene, the build up to the murder. Probably in my top 10 or 20 best orchestrated scenes with music, like the evolution of music throughout a scene. I would kind of compare it to sort of the Poison Coffee scene in like Hills Have Eyes. Hills Have Eyes. Wow. Hateful Eight. I don't know where that came from. Poison Coffee scene in Hateful Eight, where, because the music does keep building up, and creating this anxiety. I love the gritty cinematography, a lot of the camera work. There are some shots that are kind of like, why do we need that? Like, there is one Chainsaw Massacre shot of Allie's ass in short shorts while she's walking across someone's lawn. Another shot where she's at like a hair salon or something, and it's like she has like her legs up, and it's like right on her crotch. There are some really raw shots, I guess, that I don't really know why he felt the need to do that. But there are some other very well shot scenes, like the spinning around in Hitman Derek's driveway while he's talking to everyone. Of course, the build-up and murder scene itself. There does seem to be a bit more, I wouldn't really say frantic editing, definitely frantic performances after the murder, when sort of everyone's psyche is breaking down and getting more and more anxious about being caught. I think it's a very good movie. I haven't heard too many people talk about it. I do know it's a cult classic. It did get very good reviews when it came out. It does have that gritty realism that Kids had. But again, Kids is a very different movie. But I've always found the story of the murder of Bobby Kent to be a very interesting one. And I think this did a very good job. As far as putting a true crime story on screen with accuracy, I think this is one of the better ones. Also, I think there are things that if you're a parent and you suspect or know that your kid is getting bullied, things to look for. I mean, I think it even suggests that Marty dropped out, so it was just another way to get away from Bobby. Coming home beat up all the time, always talking about wanting to move, no interest in school. I think this can be used as a cautionary tale for both kids and parents and teachers. Very well acted. Love the music. Love the cinematography. I love gritty realism. How raw it is. How unflinching it is. I think it's a really great movie. But anyway, that is Bully 2001 from Larry Clark. Thank you for watching.